shining in the sunlight, roaring engines, headed somewhere in flight. They're taking
Howdy,
you
and
away.
welcome to part 2 of the Meta NYC experience. I was honestly absolutely blown away seeing how part 1 got over 15,000 views. I never thought I'd see the Blake School Projects YouTube channel have over 200 subscribers. Most of the stuff I've uploaded here is exactly that, just videos I've made for class projects throughout like middle and high school, with a handful of things sprinkled in from my time here at UT Austin. But thank y'all so much for the support. It's really nice to see so many just nice comments about like, hey man, good video, like keep it up. So, I really hope I can keep making good videos that y'all enjoy, and hope y'all stick around to watch them. But anyways, back to Meta. So I just wrapped up a 12-week software engineering internship with Meta in New York City. And when I made part 1, I fully expected to make a part 2 talking about how awesome everything was. Like, hey everyone, here's how cool my project was, and here's how awesome New York City is, and you go full influencer mode, right? But and I shouldn't say that the whole thing was bad, right? Because it had its moments, right? Got to meet like some really amazing people from all over the world, from Germany, from Hungary, from China, just India, everywhere. Got to eat some great food, and I got to do some really interesting stuff. And I'm definitely planning on talking more in detail about those things in future videos. But this one, I kind of wanted to just talk about the actual internship itself. And as for the internship itself, just oh man. Honestly, I really debated whether or not I should make this video at all, because I don't want to be overly negative. I don't want to be just a hateful guy who's trashing everything. I am still grateful to have received the opportunity to work for Meta. And I'm definitely happy. Like, there were good things, right? I got to meet some really cool people. I got to see what it was like to work for a company like Facebook, to work for a FANG. And obviously, I got to make that FANG internship money. So, it's hard to be... It's hard to feel sorry for me, is what I'm saying. So if you're like, hey, dude, like, you're being a little dramatic, like, shut up. Like, you still had a pretty sweet deal. Like, I did, all right? Now, I'm still grateful to have been able to do what I did. And again, I don't want this to be an overly negative video. I want this to be as honest a reflection of the experience as possible, and I want to be as unbiased and present everything I can as it happened as accurately as possible. Now, with that being said, let's get into it.
Way. Your job's a joke, you broke, your love life's the away. It's like what the heck is that?
And really, the larger debate, are we now in a recession, my friend?
Meta has implemented a hiring freeze. Interesting time.
This comes amid a global economic crisis which has especially hit tech giants.
So when I signed my return offer, I was super excited. Living in New York City had always been a dream of mine ever since I was a little kid. 2 weeks before I moved in, Meta surprised me when they sent me my housing information, which told me that I wasn't going to be living in New York City and I was actually going to be living in New Jersey, which was a real bummer because, dropping that information just so close to the start date, you're all hyped and you're all excited for like, oh yeah, New York's going to be so cool. But I was like, it's fine. Because I'd heard good things about Meta's intern program, and I was sure like they're going to put us in a nice place. Then, even if it is in another state and it is an hour commute every day, it's probably going to be okay. And coming from Austin, I expected the kind of general area they were putting us in, which was Jersey City, New Jersey. I expected to be kind of similar to the North Austin Domain area with lots of young tech people and good restaurants and just like an overall friendly vibe. But No, Jersey City is absolutely nothing like Austin. Hello and welcome to beautiful Jersey City, where the liquor stores are right next door to the preschools. Jersey City is a pretty rough place. Crime rates are really high, and the U.S. government actually currently classifies it as a food desert, meaning a place with really low income, very few grocery stores, and a lack of quality restaurants. Now, to clarify, I'm not acting like I'm entitled to amazing housing and an awesome neighborhood, because I'm not. I'm willing to accept that, if the company's willing to pay for my housing and, it's not super luxury, that's okay. I'm willing to put up with my fair share of crap. But, it's definitely looking at other videos from previous years. I mean, you can see some of just the crazy nice Facebook housing that people get for these kinds of tech internships with like heated bathroom floors and all this just cool stuff. And this was definitely not my experience. To answer the question, Blake, what was it like living in the basement of a haunted hospital in the middle of the hood? I've put together a small little video segment to kind of capture the essence of the whole living experience in Jersey City. So I hope you enjoy.
Batman vibe right now. Like Bruce Wayne's parents are about to get shot.
Attention. Air purity is now at normal levels.
So yeah, the Beacon was certainly a memorable place to live. Being next to the trash room in the basement gave the experience some additional flavor, I guess, if you will. But after a stabbing happened at our local pass station in front of a group of interns at 9 a.m. on their way to work, Meta actually decided to move us out of our existing housing and into New York City in Times Square, which I was super grateful for, and I was hoping that, I could kind of put this whole experience behind me. But after arriving at the Candlewood Suites in Times Square, I kind of realized that things were also interesting. The air conditioning, the TVs, the laundry rooms, also the water, it all kind of had the similar energy to the Beacon, I guess you could say. Things were not exactly the nicest, but the location was better. I no longer had to cross state lines every day to get to work. So you know what? The housing being kind of what it was, despite not being ideal, I did appreciate the company at least trying to help us out by moving us out of what was really a pretty dangerous area. So I guess you could say that's a win, kind of. Moving on from the housing now, let's talk about the job itself. So I worked exclusively on Facebook, predominantly in React, but also touching on various other technologies, including PHP, Hack, XHP, GraphQL, and Relay. I worked for 2 teams, actually. So I worked for both the Facebook Civic Connections team and the Facebook Privacy Experience teams. Because I'm under NDA, I'm not allowed to talk like specifics about like everything and like the people I work with specifically. But I can tell you, like, I definitely was very impressed with a lot of the people that I work with because they were very nice. I'm sure, as you know, Facebook does have a pretty negative reputation when it comes to the ethical standards it holds itself to. But I do want to point out that the people who work here aren't just evil robots who hate everything and want to watch the world burn. A lot of them do genuinely care about the work they're doing and the impact that it has on people. That being said, definitely my experience working on particularly the civic team, I was working with misinformation and elections. Here's a pair of socks that I got that kind of shows definitely coming into this experience, I wasn't really prepared to work on sensitive stuff like that. Look, I just want to make like cool games or something. You know, I'm not really interested in telling people what the truth is or trying to stop, you know, this group or that group from spreading misinformation, because that's really a hard problem to solve. And while I do fully admit it's a problem, it does get there can be kind of a gray area, right? Because how can you really determine what is misinformation and what isn't? And obviously different people have different biases and different perspectives. Culturally, I differed quite a bit from a lot of the people in the office generally. But that being said, we did get along, we were civil. But definitely, I would not want to go back in that environment and work on a team like that again. Let's talk about the food now. So Facebook food's interesting. Initially, it blew me away. I was like, oh my gosh, like we have a gelato bar, we have 4 restaurants, and we have free snacks and drinks and coffee and espressos, and oh my god, okay, I'm about to sound like the most spoiled tech bro like of all time. But like after a while, like you kind of start to get sick of it. If that sounds like I promise, like just hear me out, okay? Hear me out. Like the best comparison that I can make is imagine eating dishes off of Chopped every day, like Chopped, like Food Network Chopped. It's like Chopped, but the high school cafeteria version. It's amazing high school cafeteria food, but like it's still a high school cafeteria. And also just the dishes that they make, you know, they're not like, oh, I'm just gonna eat a burger, I'm just gonna eat some pizza. It's like, no, you're gonna eat Icelandic lamb au jus with horseradish puree topped with sauerkraut vinegar. Like, it's just like, you're not getting just like standard normal everyday things. You're getting just some, you know, it's fancy and you can appreciate the effort and thought that goes into it, but it's not like your everyday just standard food that you'd probably eat back at home. Now, that's not to say that they don't have any consistency. Like, they usually do always have like some kind of pizza at lunch, and for breakfast, like they always have like scrambled eggs, tots, fruit, and yogurt. Dinner's pretty much always different though. Like that's when they get like really creative, and sometimes it can be great, right? Like sometimes, like I know they did like a authentic like Chinese barbecue type like pot roast stuff with a little like soft dumpling bread. Like that was excellent. That was phenomenal when they did that. So that like they do make good stuff sometimes, and I don't want to criticize it too much. But you know, sometimes you just want like, again, burger, chicken, pizza, just something standard, right? You definitely don't expect to eat it every day. You're gonna want to mix in some other things with kind of your regular diet. And well, I guess that's really kind of about it. I do have a lot more that I could say about the experience and just the stories that I have from New York. You know, there's a lot of them that I wasn't able to fit in the video, but just to, you know, keep things concise and as focused as possible. I guess that's really kind of my overall honest review of my Meta NYC internship. To pass it on, I guess to answer the question, like, would I recommend interning with Meta? Based on my experience, I personally don't have any intention of returning, and I would suggest people apply elsewhere. But that being said, I do think that there are good things about the company, and if you ultimately decide that you do want to work for Meta, I mean, more power to you, and there are, like I said, there are good things about the company. But thank you all for watching the video. I hope I can keep making more content soon, and take care. Have a good one.